Hi, it's Dr. Kim. Today I'm going to teach you how to make my favorite miso soup. Okay, so first your ingredients. I pre-made some vegetable broth and I will show you how to do that in just a minute. But I always keep vegetable broth in a jar and handy because I use that to saute things instead of oil as well. So you got your vegetable broth and then some hot chili oil. And then this is the dried sea kelp, and I went ahead and added some warm water so it would go ahead and start rehydrating because it is stored, it's kind of a dry form, it's in little sheets. And then you will also need some organic miso, and I used the white miso. It's available in either white or red. And then you'll need some sliced mushrooms, and I like scallions in mine, so I diced up some of those. You will need some miso, and I'm also going to throw in a little piece of turmeric. And so now the mushrooms are very important to add to your soup because they're full of B vitamins, selenium, potassium, copper, and vitamin D. And so the mushrooms will boost your immune system. They're also supposed to boost longevity because they have so many added health benefits. They also help with weight loss because they make you feel full and they provide that umami flavor. And they also contain prebiotics that feed the good bacteria in your gut. And the kelp, the reason I like to add the kelp to it is because it contains vitamin A, vitamin B1, 2. It also contains vitamin C, D, and E, and lots of other minerals like zinc, iodine, magnesium, iron, potassium, copper, calcium. So you can see vegetables contain a lot of essential minerals and nutrients. In fact, sea kelp contains more calcium than any other food, and that includes milk. And what the dried kelp is seaweed that has grown in the shallow coastal salt water. And so it really is full of lots of things that will help you. Now the turmeric, the active substance in it is curcumin, and it is scientifically proven to help prevent heart disease. It helps prevent Alzheimer's. It also is a potent anti-inflammatory food, and so it also helps arthritis, and recent studies show that it even helps fight depression. And the miso it has a lot of essential minerals and vitamins. It contains a lot of the B vitamins as well, and some of the fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin E and K. But miso also contains folic acid, which helps decrease your risk of colon cancer. It also prevents neural tube defects in pregnant women, in the babies. And so miso is a fermented food, so it's also beneficial for the good gut bacteria. And then tofu is a plant protein, and it actually contains all 9 essential amino acids. And so there is no meat protein in the world that can really compare with tofu. It also contains iron, calcium, magnesium, selenium, phosphorus, zinc, copper, B1. It is loaded with minerals and nutrients. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to shake this up really good, and we're going to pour our vegetable broth in a pan, and I like to use either stainless steel or cast iron for everything. You can also use glass. So I'm going to pour that right in there, and then we'll turn our burner on, and so I'm going to put it on about medium. And as you can see right here, this is some vegetable broth that I've got started. What I do is I save my scraps. So I roasted some garlic the other day, and so I saved my roasted garlic peels. And then there's some bay leaves in there, and I saved my onion scraps. I saved my mushroom stems. I chopped up some celery. I also diced a couple carrots. And there are actually a few little pieces of ginger in there somewhere, and also some of the turmeric root. And let's see, I put a bunch of my parsley stems. And so you can basically put any kind of vegetables or mushroom pieces. I don't recommend putting strongly flavored crucifers like cauliflower or collards because they just give it too strong of a flavor. And so you really just fill up a pot with water, add all these nice little things in there, and just let it simmer as long as you want. The longer it simmers, it concentrates the flavors. And so we'll just let that go. All right, so we've got our vegetable broth heating up. And so next, I'm gonna add the sea kelp. And you can just add the water and everything right in that it's been soaking in. So we'll add that right in there. Okay. And then next, we're going to add some of the onions. And I'm just going to sprinkle a few of those in there. And you can put as much as you like. If you love, onions or scallions, you can put a lot. And then next, I'm going to toss in a few of the mushrooms. And I love mushrooms, so I'm actually going to put a good many of them in there. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of the tofu. And it doesn't take long because the vegetable broth is already cooked. All you're going to do is lightly cook the mushrooms, and the tofu I like to go ahead and throw in there while the mushrooms and onions are cooking because tofu takes on the flavor of whatever it's cooked in. And so adding it during the cooking process gives the tofu a little more flavor. So I'm going to throw in, these are the little turmeric pieces, so I'm going to throw those in. And then I like to add a little bit of the miso. I like to add in a little bit of the miso while it's cooking. So we're going to put a little bit of this in there. But because it's fermented and it has actually living beneficial bacteria in it, once the miso soup is done, I'm going to add some more because the cooking process actually kills the beneficial bacteria. It still gets the flavor, but you want to have some of your bacteria still living when you eat it. So we'll add a little bit of this miso while it's cooking, and then we'll add some more once it's done. And you can already see that those little onions are starting to cook right away, and mushrooms don't take long either. And I want to go ahead and add, if I can open this, I also want to go ahead and add a little bit of this chili oil because I like things to be a little spicy. And so I get down in there and get a little bit of the seeds as well, plus a little bit of the oils. Okay, we'll give that a little stir. Okay, super. And so now what we'll do is we'll let this simmer for about, I usually watch mine, but it'll simmer probably 10 minutes or so, and then it's done. And then we'll remove it from the heat, and I'll show you how I add in the remaining miso. Okay, so we're just checking on our broth. So you can see it's cooking and simmering, and the fluid that's in there, that water is taking on a deeper color as the different vegetables release their flavors and nutrients. And I would recommend not using tap water if you live in the city. Now, if you have well water or spring water, that's the best. You can use it straight from the tap. Otherwise, if you're going to be consuming the water, I highly recommend just buying bottles of spring water. Purified water still has a little bit of fluoride and chlorine, so don't really recommend that. But if that's all you have, it's better than not drinking anything, I guess. So, all right, so it looks like our soup is done. You don't want to overcook the mushrooms. You don't want them mushy and slimy, so you just cook them a little bit, and it looks like the green onions are done also. So we'll give it a little stir. So the next step is you're ready to eat it really, or you can pour it straight into a jar. And like I said, you want to add some more miso right before you eat it. So I'm just going to show you what this final product looks like. So we're going to spoon some into the bowl. We'll get some of the tofu also. You should smell this. It smells absolutely fantastic. Okay, So we're gonna take this over here. And next, the white miso that we had talked about before, you're just gonna put, I like to put about that much. That's probably about a teaspoon. Y'all know I'm not fantastic at measuring things. I really just kind of eyeball them. So you'll just scoop about a teaspoon of the miso. You could add more or less. That's kind of a personal choice. I like a little more miso because it gives it a more salty, more complex kind of flavor. So you just mix that all in. It mixes pretty easily when when your soup is warm. So just mix that all in there. You can add some extra chili oil if you want to. So you get that all mixed in and it's ready to eat. And so I'll give it a little try here. It's fantastic. And so if you keep some vegetable broth on hand, and like I mentioned earlier, you can make it just from vegetable scraps that you have during the process of cooking. Just throw them in a Ziploc bag, keep them in your freezer until you're ready. Throw some water in a pot, add all those scraps, and simmer them for about an hour. And then just strain all the vegetables out. My dog likes to eat the leftover vegetables after I make the broth. A lot of you know him, it's Bear. So take your vegetable broth, throw in your mushrooms and tofu, whatever you want to throw in your broth, and then add in the miso. You can use white or red right at the last minute, and you have an instant, highly nutritious food. So hope you enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe and like us. See you soon.